You're listening to a special edition of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports show, The Game Sports Show, live from Icebreakers Sports Bar and Grill. Host Dave McCaig coming to you live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booyah! It's time for the Game Sports Show. You're listening to the Game Sports Show on thegamesportshow.podbean.com or through the website, thegamesportshow.com, or even through the Scott Neeson YouTube channel. You may have also got directed through our Facebook page at The Game Sports Show or through our Instagram at The Game Sports Show SSM. Nonetheless, we want to say thank you for coming on by. This is going to be a special edition upload for The Game Sports Show, powered by Northern Superior Brewing Company and also Icebreakers Sports Bar. And as you know, listeners, this has been in the works for the last month and a half, our special edition uploads, as we were anxiously awaiting the opening of the Icebreakers Sports Bar here at the John Rhodes Community Centre. We're going to be having various uploads throughout the entirety of the hockey season here from Icebreakers, where we're going to be covering everything local. We may also dive into some professional, but it'll be at its rarity, as our professional segment will be discussing more from our Thursday edition at Northern Superior Brewing Company. Here from Icebreakers, we're going to be talking about the Sault Thunderbirds, the NOJHL, and also the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and the OHL. And don't worry, listeners, we'll be having our Sault Thunderbirds update and Sault Greyhounds updates on our Thursday show still as well. Just going to do an extra upload when it comes to local sports, as there's a lot of local hockey to be covering here. It's at the thick of the hockey season and at the exciting time of the hockey season as it gets into the Christmas break already almost. So why wouldn't we give the listeners the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national sports coverage with one more edition and one more home from Icebreakers Sports Bar for our special edition uploads on the weekends for when the Sault Thunderbirds and the Sault Greyhounds play. And also to our Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan listeners, we'll also be doing these uploads powered to the Sault Eagles as well. I'm live on location at the Icebreakers Sports Bar, where the Sault Thunderbirds are playing host to the Sault Eagles. And here, going into the third period, they are up 5-1. And we're at this intermission, I'm going to be pulling up Brad Coccimiglio and Trevor Zachary before the third period starts. And then at the end of the game, I'll be doing a little sideline reaction from head coach John Porco from the Sault Thunderbirds before we conclude our segment. Now, with these special edition uploads, I want to stress to the listeners that they are going to be at a variety of length. One edition might only be half hour, one might be 45 minutes, or one might be an hour. Might be an hour and a half, depending on the coverage that we have. Here for the special edition, as I mentioned, is everything local, with the professional being at its rarity. But we're going to be having interviews from Sault Thunderbird players, from NOJHL players, and also through the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and OHL players, as well as the Game Sports Show is always on location at the Sault Thunderbirds, Sault Eagles, and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhound games. So we're going to be using these editions of the show to do pre-game and post-game interview potential as well with yours truly. And also Brad Coccimiglio will be having a big part on the show, as well as Justin Heichel and Dane Hanshaw will be by as well. But our main panel members for our local edition special upload will be myself and Brad Coccimiglio, whom is the Game Sports Show's panel member, but also main guy from Sault today and good friend of mine as well. When it comes to these special edition uploads, we'll be throwing out the schedule if we're going to be on location here at the Icebreakers on the Monday or Thursday show. We do plan to be here every Sunday as possible, but we know, especially going into December and going out throughout the hockey season, the schedule is potential to change. So make sure you keep your ears open and eyes open through our Facebook page and also through our newly launched Instagram page for a schedule of when we'll be live here at Icebreakers, as well upstairs here at the John Rhodes Community Centre. We sit here right now in the VIP room, which makes me feel a little luxurious. We will potentially be sitting at this spot for the entirety of the year, or we might be bouncing around the restaurant to be right in the thick of things with the fans. That's what the sports show here likes to do. I can tell you right now, the atmosphere here at Icebreakers is electric, as the Sault Thunderbirds are having their border battle against the Sault Ste. Marie Eagles. Now, before we go to break, I want to give an updated schedule for the Sault Eagles, the Sault Thunderbirds, and also the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. I know when we have both Brad and Trevor on, they're going to be discussing the future games of the Thunderbirds and also the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. However, it's always good to write this down, and you can access the schedule for the Sault Eagles at SaultEagles.net/schedule. or you can access the Sault Thunderbirds schedule right on the Sault Thunderbirds home website, thesaultthunderbirds.com, or you can access it through the NOJHL website. The Sault Eagles will be in action this week on Friday from Polar Stadium as they play Rayside Balfour at 7:30. On Saturday, they will be playing host to Espanola at the Polar Stadium, and that'll be Saturday, December the 1st, before they're off until Friday, December the 7th, as the Sault Thunderbirds visit the Eagles at Polar at 7:30 p.m. So that's this Friday at 7:30 against Rayside, Saturday against Espanola for next weekend after they complete this game against the Sault Thunderbirds. For the Sault Thunderbirds, as I just mentioned, they're in action against the Eagles, up 5-1 going into the third period. The Sault Thunderbirds will be playing against the Blind River Beavers this upcoming Friday here from the John Rhodes Community Centre at 7 p.m. They will be on the road this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. 7 o'clock, they play against Elliott Lake, and on Sunday, they play at Espanola. The Game Sports Show does plan to be live on location for Friday, November the 30th, as the Sault Thunderbirds play host to Blind River. The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, as they are in action this week, they are on the road. Thursday, November the 29th at 7:05, they play against the Windsor Spitfires. Saturday, they play against the Saginaw Spirit at 7:05, December the 1st. Now, Sunday, December the 2nd, a little maybe redemption game needed by the Hounds. They play at 2 o'clock against the Flint Firebirds, and they're also back at home. That will be on Wednesday, December the 5th, as they play Flint in a little home-and-home there, as the Hounds have a little tough road trip this weekend. Now, without further ado, we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and when we come back, Brad Coccimiglio will be coming on here on the special edition of the Game Sports Show live at Icebreakers. Don't go anywhere. We're here live with the Game Sports Show's one of the panel members and one of the best guys I know, one of the best-looking guys I know. Just a great guys all around. Brad Coccimiglio. Brad, how you doing, pal?
You know what? I really can't argue that I might be the best looking guy, I'm not going to argue that statement.
No. I mean, definitely the best looking guy on the panel.
Oh. Yeah.
Like, that's without question.
And that's tough, though. We got a good looking panel.
We do. Got a pretty good looking panel. Scotty Nason's on the panel. Can't forget that. He might be the best looking one. Absolutely. Brad, we're doing our first bonus upload edition here at the Icebreakers Sports Bar in Sault Ste. Marie, upstairs, the John Rhodes Community Centre. The Sault Thunderbirds are playing host to the Sault Eagles right now, and people are kind of new to our special edition uploads, how things are going to work. We're kind of figuring everything out as you and I sit in the VIP room upstairs at Icebreakers. Much thanks to Jody Wilson and to Mitch Wilson for having us up here for this. But we know on Thursday nights it gets a little bit difficult with you coming on because of conflict of schedule. We do our show a bit earlier than usual on Thursdays at Northern Superior Brewing Company. So we're trying to get you on to do shows there and here. So we're trying to work everything out. So we're tying in our local portion right now with you, and we want to update on the Sault Thunderbirds in general. We want to also talk about the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. I know we're here covering the Sault Thunderbirds right now, but we're going to talk about the Sault Greyhounds right now. The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, they played on the 24th, which was last night. They played in Owen Sound and won 7-4. And Friday, they had a tough overtime loss to the Guelph Storm. And Wednesday, though, as we talked about on the Thursday show, they had a good 7-4 win over the Pelon Twins. Sudbury Wolves is who they played host here at the GFL Memorial Gardens. So I just want to get an update with you on the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds for the last 3 games, and what went wrong in the overtime loss, what went right in the win yesterday over Owen Sound.
Yeah, you know what, against Guelph, it was Guelph capitalized on some chances in the third period, and that's a good hockey club, and they're the Greyhounds weren't pleased. They felt like they deserved a better fate in that game, and to bounce back the following night, it was good for them just to jump right back in the following night, and they got off to a good start in Owen Sound, and Morgan Frost was Morgan Frost. He had 5 points in that game. He had 5 assists. He came into Sunday tied for the scoring lead in the OHL, and they top to bottom, it was a complete effort. It was real solid, and it was nice to see. That's a team that had struggled a little bit for a little stretch there, and now they seem to be back to normal. Matt Villalta is back from injury and settling himself back in now and getting back into game shape, and they're a team that's going to be hard to play against here going forward.
See, now I'm going to save the big question for you for last. That we were teasing that we're going to talk about Rasmus Sandin, and then there's a very interesting fact that was brought up to me that I kind of want to share to you, and it wasn't by a scout or an analyst, so just a fan. But we'll get to that in just a few moments. The Hounds that you just mentioned had a little bit of a struggle losing against Flint almost 2 weeks ago was definitely a tough loss for the Hounds to swallow, a team that's absolutely struggled, and bouncing back this week on a fairly successful week. The Hounds having Villalta back, does it go without saying that is a big reason why they can bounce back and snap a little kind of struggling streak that they had?
Yeah, I mean, he's huge, right? He's one of the best goalies in the league for a reason. So, I mean, he's a kid who's, he expects a lot of himself. He expects the best out of himself. And, I mean, he's a kid who, he's a goaltender who can make a difference on a nightly basis regardless of who they're playing against. So that's going to be huge going forward. I mean, I'm sure he's a kid that's going to get a little bit of interest at the trade deadline. And, he's in a good spot. And, he's a kid who can, like I said, he's a kid who can win hockey games on his own.
See, that injury was a scary injury. We all know what kind of went down with that, and at the end of the day, it happened, and good teams find ways to win. That's what I'm a firm believer of. But the Hounds obviously slipping into second right now in the Western Conference. 17-4 right now is the record of the London Knights that they're up on the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. And Guelph and Owen Sound, two teams that they played, were 3-4 respectively in the standings. So definitely a good weekend to have that success, to get those 3 out of 4 possible points.
Yeah, I mean, there are no easy games, even games against Flint. Flint's playing a little better now. They had the coaching's change and Eric Wellwood coming in, and no team's going to take a night off against you. So I mean, it's it's going to be tough, and the Western Conference is tough on a night by night basis. So I mean, you're going to be in a position where you need to be at your best on a nightly basis.
See, the Hounds right now, everyone thinks of last year and they went to this year was going to be a different year. Everyone kind of knew that. But the Hounds are successful still. They're still one of the top couple teams in the conference right now. And is it fair to say that everyone really expected this, for them to be this good?
You know what? I mean, for me personally, I feel like they've overachieved a little bit early in the year. I mean, conceivably, I was on the record saying this was probably a 6 or a 7 seed.
Yeah.
I mean, I still feel like this is probably a team that's, played above what I expected. And that's not disrespect to them. I mean, I expected this team to be more like they were 3 years ago when Drew Bannister first came in. And, this is a team that's, that they play well, just the inconsistencies of being a young team. And, I think this is a team that's going to be tough for any team to play against going through the rest of the year.
Now, speaking of going through the rest of the year, the comment I heard about Rasmus Sandin from a fan of the show, who actually said that he didn't want to be really mentioned because he didn't want to get heckled for it. But with Rasmus Sandin, he believes that he's going to come back to the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds still. Now, we've talked about this at the beginning of the summer. We've talked about when the Leafs drafted him, the rumors about him going to the Swedish Elite League, or if it's going to stay in the Marlies, or whatever it may be that happens. Does Rasmus Sandin go back to the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds because of the connection with Dubas still? Does he see him staying there?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not sold that he comes back.
No way.
I'm not on that train. I think that situation, I think if he's coming back, he's probably already back in the Greyhounds lineup at this point. If there was a chance for him to come back, I mean, I think he's played well enough with the Marlies to warrant the opportunity to play there the rest of the year.
That was the big thing, was that if they want to use and have him there for the 1 year to come back. Yeah. Now, the Hounds, a couple more things before they go. Only have about 3 minutes to go, not even approximately. Then we're going to have Trevor Zachary come on, the GM of the Sault Thunderbirds. They play the 29th against Windsor, and they're on the road this weekend in general. The Windsor Thursday, as I mentioned. Saturday, they play against Saginaw, and then Sunday, they play against the Flint Firebirds, and I'm sure they want a little bit of redemption for a team that is one of their 2 wins came against the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds.
Actually, they're up to 3 now.
They're up to 3.
Sarnia, I believe it was the other night.
Oh, they beat Sarnia. So the Flint's finding ways. They're trying to grind up to get the wins. But what can the Hounds do to have a successful road trip? Because that's a pretty tough stretch right there on the road.
Well, I mean, you know what? You got to keep things status quo. I mean, they had despite losing in Guelph, they had a good weekend where there was just small stretches where, Guelph took advantage. And, that's this Greyhound team. I mean, Matt Villalta is going to be better next weekend than he was this weekend. Not that he was awful, but I know even in the Guelph game there were goals that he wanted back, and I'm sure even against Owen Sound there were goals that he wanted back. But they're in a position where just consistency. I mean, go out, put tons of pucks on net, puck possession, just keep playing that style, and that's what's gonna keep that team having some success.
Yes, and the Hounds right now, definitely a lot of games to still watch before we go into the Christmas kind of break. Brad, last thing before I let you go, where Trevor Zachary is just walking in, why not throw a little extra promotion here for the Sault Thunderbirds? They're playing against the Sault Eagles right now. They're going into the third period. The Thunderbirds are up 5-1. The game, the border battle is always something to watch, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's always physical. It's always, there's that rivalry, right? It's it's no different than a Sault Sudbury in the OHL or basically any rivalry, right? I mean, when you're that close and you play each other that many times, you're going to have a rivalry, and it's always going to be heated. And let's face it, that's part of what makes the game so much fun. Absolutely.
Now, Brad, we're going to let you go and I'll go down there to cover the third period. I want to say thank you for coming up on the show here tonight for the local edition special upload, powered by Northern Spirit Brewing Company and also powered by the Icebreakers Sports Bar. We'll be talking to you later this week, pal. We got our Thursday show and potentially another special upload next weekend.
Sounds good. Look forward to it.
We'll be right back after these messages. When we come back, we're going to bring in the GM of the Sault Thunderbirds, the one and only Trevor Zachary. Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Yours truly, David McCaig, alongside GM of the Sault Thunderbirds, Trevor Zachary, somebody who is no stranger to the show, obviously. Many thanks with Trevor that I say countless times with the partnership that we have with Northern Spirit Brewing Company and with the Sault Thunderbirds. So Trev gets my story long text messages. He gets we get all the reaction. We talk hockey when we can. And Trev, we finally got our special edition uploads here. The brand newly opened Icebreakers Sports Bar here. Definitely great little atmosphere that we're gonna have up here. And the Sault Thunderbirds right now are currently hosting the Sault Eagles up 5-1 going into the third period. We'll have some post-game reactions from the head coach by the end of the game. But just want to get your update currently on the game right now and how things are going with the Sault Thunderbirds.
Yeah, thanks, man. Game's going well. I mean, up 5-1 currently. The guys are playing. The guys are playing well. We're skating hard. We're doing the little things, as they say. And shots are going in. We've probably had 5 real good scoring chances as well tonight, and their goalie's actually playing pretty well, being down 5-1. So it's been good. We've got a big weekend coming up as well with Blind River here in the Sault on Friday, and then we have Elliott Lake and Espanola on the weekend in their barns. So we're looking forward to our schedule upcoming, and then we'll have a little winter break before Christmas time as well.
Yeah, a little break for sure. You guys are coming in winning. They got 3 in a row right now going into tonight. I believe what it is, and you're up 5-1 going into this game. Getting a little bit chippy out there on the ice, as all border rivalries do.
Yeah.
And what I see on the ice right now is some good chemistry on the special teams, the power play. I know when I was down there in the second period, a lot of good chemistry. The boys are really finding each other. And right now, going into action, you guys are the record's 18-5-0, and you still have 4 games in hand. You got to catch up to Blind River, up 36 points in the Western Division.
Yeah.
Describe the success. I know there's a couple games where you had a couple losses in a row there. Now you guys have battled back. Good teams find ways to win, right?
Yeah. No, and you know what? The way I see it, it's kind of happening with a number of the teams across the league as well. It's you go on little runs and you're successful, and then you have these hiccups here and there, and it's common. I mean, Kirkland Lake's going through some stuff right now as well, and they've lost a couple of games. It's going to happen just with regards to the schedule and the amount of travel and everything else that these guys go through. Yeah. We traded Jamie Damignani, who was a great kid, and that's another thing too. You've got a kid on your team who gets along with everyone on the club, and then you trade him away. So there's always things that are happening that a lot of people don't see. Just coming to the rink and watching the game, but behind the scenes, there's lots going on, and that has a lot to do with your successes or your failures.
See, that's the work of being a general manager. You got to work out those trades. I was reading that on your site, and your site, by the way, tell listeners about the update with the site that I like. When you log into the site, the next game automatically pops up.
Yeah.
What a great feature you guys have.
Yeah, you know what? There were a couple of other sites that had that with a couple of other teams, and I noticed and said it is fantastic, because 9 times out of 10 people are going to your website to look for the schedule, and we get that a lot. So if that can be the first thing that pops up, it's helpful. So that's it's a nice feature that we've added.
So now the last thing before I let you go, obviously you mentioned this weekend you're now at Lake Espanola. Friday, the Game Sports Show will be on location for your game against the Blind River Beavers. What's the continued success needed to continue this role going for the Birds, and what has been the big thing that you've seen as the reason for success?
Just buying into Coach Porco's philosophy. I mean, that's what the guys have done when we're successful. That's any successful club, that's what they do. They buy into the systems, and our guys are doing that. They sense that we can be even more successful, I think, if we continue to play this way, and that's a huge part of it. And then once you start rolling, as long as you follow the template, so to speak, then you're good to go.
Thank you, Trevor. I want you to get down there to go back to the third period, and when we come back to the Game Sports Show, we're going to be talking on Friday. Hopefully you can join us on a little post-game, pre-game reaction as they play Blind River.
Yeah.
Good luck, and we'll talk Friday.
Thanks for having us.
Yep.
All right.
Now, as the GM of the Thunderbirds, Trevor Zachary, steps away, yours truly, David McCaig, is going to go down to the bench area at the John Rhodes Community Centre to get some post-game reaction. As I mentioned at the top of this part, 5-1, the Sault Thunderbirds are up on the Sault Eagles. There's approximately 14 minutes left in the third period. If you're at the John Rhodes Community Centre supporting the Sault Thunderbirds, I want to say thank you on behalf of the Sault Thunderbirds organization and on the behalf of the Game Sports Show as well. And also, if you're tuning in through Hockey TV, that's also a great way if you're unable to make it to the rink. But I always suggest to make sure you get out to the arenas to support the local hockey here in Sault Ste. Marie, especially with the Sault Thunderbirds, your West Division leading Sault Thunderbirds as well. And as I mentioned, when we go down there, we're going to get some post-game reaction from head coach John Porco before we conclude tonight's show. That will be the conclusion of the show. This was the first special edition upload live from Icebreakers Sports Bar here in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, upstairs at the John Rhodes Community Centre. And as we go forward into the hockey season, the Game Sports Show will be at Icebreakers on the weekends, either on Saturday or Sundays. Also scheduled pending between the Sault Greyhounds and the Sault Thunderbirds, as this special edition uploads from Icebreakers will be covering the local sports in its entirety. There'll be a rarity that we discuss a professional, as we do talk about professional hockey and sports on the Thursday edition at Northern Superior Brewing Company. As I mentioned, throughout the year, we'll have guests from the Sault Thunderbirds and also the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds on the special edition upload, powered by Northern Superior Brewing Company, and at the home location of the special edition show, Icebreakers Sports Bar. I want to say thanks to Brad Coccimiglio, the Game Sports Shows, and today's own Brad Coccimiglio for making time to come on up here at Icebreakers to talk Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and a little bit of the Sault Thunderbirds. And also thanks to Trevor Zachary, of course, the GM of the Sault Thunderbirds and representative at Northern Superior Brewing Company, for taking time to come on the show as well to discuss the updates with the Sault Thunderbirds. We will be live at the Wicked Sister tomorrow, which is Monday, November the 26th, from the Wicked Sister. Myself, Scott Nason, as well as Butch Davis and EJ Russell plan to come on by as well. The first hour will be 6 to 7 p.m. on Eagle 95.1. 7 to 8 will be pre-recorded and podcasted on thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Also, myself and Dane Hanchel will be the likely two at Sports Center Bar and Grill this Wednesday, potentially Justin Heichel as well, as Jamie and Matt will be away in Ottawa for OFSA. So we're going to have our weekly In the Pocket segment from Sports Center Bar and Grill. And we're also going to have a little phone interview with Matt and Jamie as well for the update with Core Colts Senior Football. Then Thursday, we will be live at Northern Superior Brewing Company. That is Thursday the 29th. We plan to be there at 6 p.m. And then November the 30th, this week, we'll be doing another special edition upload. We plan to do one up here at Icebreakers following the Sault Thunderbirds and Blind River Beavers game. That's going to be at 7 p.m. here at the John Rhodes Community Centre. And the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, we plan to have some interviews potentially this week live on location at the GFL Memorial Gardens that we'll put into either our Thursday show or our special edition upload show on Friday, as the Hounds are away this weekend. And also, Craig Hartsburg, who will be joining the Game Sports Show crew, will be doing a special upload here for the Game Sports Show this week. We will be doing a recording on Tuesday or Wednesday, still figuring out some of the time. Craig Hartsburg will be coming on by to talk about his updated NHL Power Rankings. And throughout the weeks, we plan to have Craig come on to do his updated NHL Power Rankings and also discuss some updates in the world of sports as well. And those will be a part of our special edition uploads powered by Northern Superior Brewing Company and Icebreaker Sports Bar as well. So lots going on with the show. A lot of good things. This has been the first special edition upload here at Icebreaker Sports Bar in Sault Ste. Marie at the John Rhodes Community Centre. We're just going to hear, right after I'm done talking, head coach of the Sault Thunderbirds, John Porco, talk. But before we get to that, I want to say thanks to Scott Nason, our board operator. Thanks to you, the listeners, for being a part of our special edition upload. And until tomorrow, from the Wicked Sister, keep your stick on the ice. Swing your bats. Catch your touchdown, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah. Now going over to head coach of the Thunderbirds, John Porco. We're here live on location with head coach of the Sault Ste Thunderbirds, John Porco. And I'd like to say before we went to this recording, it was to save the best voice for last. And no, not mine. Head coach John Porco. Big win here against the Sioux Eagles in the border battle, 5-1. Talk about the victory tonight, coach.
Yeah, I thought we played a really, really nice hockey game. We were moving the puck well, we skated well, and when we play like that, I'm proud of the kids when they can play like that, the way they move the puck and skate and battle. So excited for them.
See, we had Trevor up before we brought you on here, and obviously, these type of games, things get kind of a little bit chippy. Obviously, did you think the boys held their composure today well out there?
Yeah, of course. We didn't really have any. It wasn't that chippy, believe it or not, other than the one head check. I think the rest of the game was pretty clean.
Yeah.
So, unlike some of the games we have in our league, it's an unfortunate, really bad head check. But other than that, the game was, both teams played hockey. So,
was it all around? What I noticed when I was watching the game is the chemistry of your team. We were talking about a couple weeks ago. There's a little bit of ups and downs that you had in the road, and it's actually funny because we were on the show a couple weeks ago. You were even talking about that. You're hot for a bit. There might come a time where you guys might run into a little rough patch, and you did recently, a little up and down. But now you've won 3 games in a row, and you're going to this Friday against the Blind River Beavers here at the John Rhodes Community Centre. Do you notice the chemistry out there with the boys improving? And do you think that was a good thing that you had a little bit of a bump in the road a couple weeks ago?
It's all a little. You need that throughout the season, a little bit of adversity, and how you come back from that determines whether you're going to be a winning team or a losing team. I mean, it's never going to go the way you want all the time. So I honestly, we've won some games, but the last couple games we didn't play as well as we can. And tonight I thought we did.
See, with the Sioux Eagles, is it one of those unique games? You have the Twin Sioux battle there. Is it one of those games, like you've played over in Europe, you have the rivalry games? The boys must get a little extra amp for those type of games, it seems like.
Oh, for sure. In Europe, they call them derby games. And,
I like that.
Yeah, the derby games. And, it's always going to be a rivalry, Sioux, Michigan and Sioux, Ontario. And that's good for the league, right?
It's
and
awesome.
It's good for the kids. So.
Yeah. And you know what? I noticed a couple things here before I let you go. The balance on the score sheet today. Cage had a goal and 2 assists out there, but you had everyone, like 5 different scores today between Gage got 1, you had also Camden get 1, you had Lucas Terrio get 1, you had Nick Smith get 1, and Ryan Lawrence, who was a guest on the show, one of our first guests that we had. Balance in the score sheet, it seemed like tonight. So the boys are really moving the puck out there.
100%. And that's a good thing when you can spread out the scoring a little bit. Everybody gets a little bit of confidence, and everybody feels like they're a huge part of the team. So, it's fun for them like that.
Another thing, this week you got 3 games. You got Blind River, and you're also on the road in Espanola and Elliott Lake. For the Saturday, Sunday games. What's the prep going into this week? What's the schedule like for the Thunderbirds? Do you give them an off day this week? Do you think of that, or is it just systems this week? Because it is a 3-game weekend, are obviously pretty tough.
Yeah, you know what? Tomorrow's going to be an off day other than the goalie training. Nice. Terry Barble takes the goalies once a week, and it's his practice. Nice. So we'll have some shooters out there, and it's an optional for the other guys. So the goalies will get some extra work tomorrow. And then Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, it's going to be, a lot of up and down the ice, like we usually do. We'll work on some systems. We'll work on review a few things, but for the most part, it's about practicing at the same speed we want to play at. So, that's my theory anyways.
Absolutely. Last thing, Colin Ahorn with 32 saves tonight. Mm-hmm. They definitely had great performance, and that helped solidify that win out there.
Yeah, of course. Colin's been solid, solid, really, really solid for us. He's coming in on his own, and he's a good kid, and he works hard, and he's so talented. So, we just hope he keeps it up.
Boys are firing all cylinders. Big 3 games this weekend. Like I said, Friday against Blind River. John, we'll be seeing you at that game Friday against Blind River.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for coming by, Johnny.
All right.